Hi, good morning. Good morning. Thanks you all for being here. It's good to see so many people both here in person. It's been, for me at least, a while since we've gotten together in person with more regularity. So I'm excited to see you all, and thanks to those of you who are joining online. I can't see how many you are, but I imagine many folks are also online. As Lauren mentioned, I do just want to address a couple of ways in which the great work that underlies the climate indicators impacts so much of what we do, and in particular, the priorities that we have across the agency, but also across the state, broadly as an administration and otherwise. So the fourth edition of the Indicators of Climate Change California report, as you know, provides clear scientific evidence of what we've all been experiencing in our daily lives. And I think that it goes without saying that we have all had direct experience with the fact that the impacts are accelerating. We see this every day. We see it in record-breaking heat, historic drought, extreme flooding, and devastating wildfires that have affected far too many communities across our state. Less obviously, but just as importantly, we see it in the unprecedented death of trees, the increased frequency of toxic algal blooms, and the decline in population of notable California species like the Chinook salmon. The 41 indicators of climate change listed in this report bring new urgency to the fight to protect our planet and its resources, vividly depicting what we've already lost and informing our ability to protect these resources moving forward. In 2023 alone, there were a record-breaking $28 billion disasters, costing the United States more than $90 billion in economic damages, not to mention the toll on human health and the environment. One of these billion-dollar disasters happened right here in California, when back-to-back atmospheric rivers flooded communities from Planada to Pájaro. I'm sure many of you have experienced the impacts of those directly. Unsurprising to many of us, I think the fifth National Climate Assessment found that California is in the top 5 states facing economic impacts from climate-fueled disasters. And just last week, the Ocean Protection Council released a report projecting that sea level rise along the US coastline will rise on average 10 to 12 inches in the next 30 years. This is expected to lead to more than 10 times as frequent flooding as what we see today. California tribes face their own unique threats from climate change, and I want to thank the members of our tribal nations across the state and in the audience today for their continued partnership in improving our ability to understand climate change impacts across our state. I'm very pleased that this edition of the Climate Indicators Report includes, for the first time, an evaluation of the impacts unique to California's Native American tribes and on tribal resources. 8 tribes in total provided accounts of their unique experiences, and 40 tribes participated in listening sessions, ensuring that their stories and their knowledge were centered in this report. You'll see a video later this morning that reflects some of this work, that tells the stories about tribal lived experiences with the impacts of climate change from their own perspective. Our tribal nations' long histories of interacting with the earth across our state since time immemorial helps us to advance our understanding of climate change and to inform our policies and actions. I want to thank, beyond the tribes that had countless testimony into our Indicators of Climate Change report, the staff that supported this work over the past several years. Many of you who have worked with tribal communities in the past or who have worked on these issues within state agencies know that it is not always easy to integrate these stories, these accounts, not only this tribal ecological knowledge, but tribal expertise into our work. And I want to thank you for doing so diligently in these reports. In many ways, the Climate Indicator Report ends up being, for many of us, a call to action, an accounting of what we've lost, and a reminder that it's up to us to write the story of the future of our planet. We at the state level and in leadership are not taking the findings of this report lightly. Last year, California filed a lawsuit against Big Oil for the more than 50 years of deceptive cover-ups and damages that have contributed to this crisis of our environment and our resources. I'm proud of the nation-leading work already underway in our state to transition away from fossil fuels and to decarbonize our economy. Last year, California reached its goal of 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles sold in the state 2 years ahead of schedule. We also surpassed our goal of 6% zero-emission truck sales in 2022, also 2 years ahead of schedule. And we've completed the installation of over 10,000 fast chargers more than a year ahead of schedule. The work that you all do through the Climate Change Indicators report provides the fuel to continue this work forward. Fuel for electric vehicles. I'm also proud of how we've accomplished these milestones through the prioritization of investments in vulnerable and disproportionately burdened communities. The reality is that decades of redlining, neglect, and disinvestment have left many communities of color and low-income communities disproportionately burdened by environmental pollution and the resulting health impacts. Climate change stands to worsen these impacts unless we take immediate action. Last year, our OEHHA team and Cali, PA also celebrated the 10th anniversary of Cal EnviroScreen, something we're also very proud of. This is a groundbreaking health mapping tool that has guided public investments and focused our efforts across state agencies to improve environmental conditions and reduce disparities in communities that need our attention most. I'm proud to say that $7.2 billion in California climate investments have gone to the state's most overburdened communities, in part identified through this tool, which represents over 70% of all California climate investment funding, generally far exceeding the statutory minimum of 35%. This work, as you all know well, is just a start. And the climate impacts highlighted in the report give new urgency to the need to accelerate our climate action to protect those resources that we have left. Under Governor Newsom's leadership, we are continuing to work to reach carbon neutrality by 2045, phase out gas-powered cars by 2035, diversify and expand our water supply, reduce our food waste, and build the world's first circular use economy. It will take all of us working collaboratively across sectors, as many of you have done, and we need the knowledge and perspectives from scientists, government, nonprofits, and frontline communities to understand climate risks and implement equitable solutions. This is why I'm so happy, once again, to see so many of you here today. I encourage you to continue the important work that you're doing. I hope that you have a good conversation moving forward today. And I also encourage you to continue those conversations in the months ahead, including in future webinars in this series. Finally, I do want to give a hats off again to the staff, to Director Zeiss and her amazingly talented staff who carry this work forward for so many of us and to so much of our benefit. Thank you so much for having me here this morning, and I hope you have a great day.